this final
perfect.
briefing is on public safety and public safety specifically in terms of places of faith in nonprofit organizations. Bless his heart, Lou moved here to San Antonio right at the beginning of COVID, when he was supposed to be doing all this kind of outreach and was stuck at home. So he decided instead to have a baby. And so they've had a child since they've been here, and bless his heart, he's been working at making these connections virtually mostly. But he has some things to share with us and how that works. And he works for Homeland Security. He'll tell you about that. And also, I want to introduce you to Lisa Epstein, who's with the Jewish Community Relations Council, Jewish Federation. And I know that they've been in conversation about places of prayer and worship within the Jewish community and doing these kinds of looks at how our facilities are in terms of safety. So Lou and Lisa, I turn it over to you two.
Thank you, Ann. So I guess this is it. We're the last to go, but this is the best presentation, I'm going to say, because we have free stuff. We're the gift bag presentation. So if you all could see my slide, just a little background about myself. The faith-based community is very close to me. My grandfather was a pastor. I joined the military at a young age, went all around the world, and now I'm here in San Antonio, Military City, and I almost feel like it's right to be. But Cybersecurity Infrastructure Security Agency is a new agency, was signed into office in 2018. We ourselves as the nation's risk advisors. Our mission is really to help the critical infrastructure and the community identify risks and mitigate those risks, both cyber and physical. So as a protective security advisor, I am embedded in the district. I live here, part of the community. I have a large district. I cover San Antonio, Midland, Odessa, all the way down to Brownsville. So really the entire southern portion of Texas. So when we look at threats and risks, I like to highlight that right now, the threat environment is constantly changing and evolving. One of the priorities that CISA had, and it started a few years back, was focused on soft targets in crowded places. And what soft targets in crowded places? That's faith-based communities, K through 12 schools. We had a lot of shooters, a lot of active assailant, active shooter threats. So CISA kind of band together to develop different guides, resources, different best practices that they could share with soft targets, crowded places in the faith-based community to better prepare themselves. But as you can see, the threat environment is constantly changing. We've got pandemic now. There are cyber attacks that are up in the upswing, ransomware attacks that really are, slowing down or causing significant financial impact to different organizations from K through 12 to everybody, hospitals. So CISA has resources on the mitigation side, what we call left of the boom. So prior to an incident, that helps you look at your posture and look at ways that you can improve your posture. So this is kind of a layout of our region, right? So we are under CISA, we're in Region 6. Our headquarters is up in Dallas. Currently, we don't have a PSA in El Paso, so we kind of split that district. So unfortunately, it expanded my district over to Midland, Odessa. But I cover everything south. We have protective security advisors all through Texas, one in Houston, one in Austin, one in Dallas, and the other states as well. So as a protective security advisor, I highlighted some of the things that I do, but on a regular basis, I'm conducting physical security assessments, cybersecurity assessments, different resiliency type vulnerability assessments to critical infrastructure partners and the faith-based community K through 12. We assist in planning and designing and evaluating different tabletop full-scale exercises, and different types of ways to prepare yourself. Everything that if you have preparedness has somewhat of a cycle where we look at training, we look at exercises, we look at ways to always kind of cycle through and look at your posture and identify potential gaps or vulnerabilities. We assist in planning and special events. We serve as liaisons to critical infrastructure partners during an incident. So when an incident happens in South Texas, I get activated down to the emergency operations center, and I'm discussing the impacts of critical infrastructure. And then in conjunction with our Office of Bombing Prevention, we also have counter IED, counter explosive type training, active shooter training, things like that we offer. This is just a breakdown of the 16 sectors on how Department of Homeland Security looks at critical infrastructure from the sectors and where CISA kind of lies. Not necessarily lead agency. There are lead agencies which are highlighted here, but CISA we engage with all critical infrastructure and soft targets and crowded places as well. I just wanted to highlight that just to kind of show you the span of work that we do within the region. This slide, I like to always kick off and highlight, put a lot of emphasis in this slide, because to us at CISA, Homeland Security really starts with hometown security. It's the community, it's what you guys do, and how we can best engage with people at the ground level to really connect that security mindset and share that information. That's in a whole what our efforts are. So I'm going to quick go over some of the faith-based resources that CISA has to offer. You can find these on www.cisa.gov, faith-based organizations, houses of worship. And we kind of take a stepped approach on how to support the faith-based community. So using the faith-based community resources, there's the 4 steps on how to start this process. One of them is actually just reaching out to me, and I can get you resources emailed to you, and we can start those conversations that you're concerned about with your facility. At step 1, we always say form a team or a working group within your organization that would like to address these things, and then identify different information gathering resources. And there's a bunch listed here. I can share these slides, they'll hyperlink so you can access them. But the Faith-Based ISOW is another great organization that we always highlight because they're constantly pushing out on a daily basis information that's related to threats and risk to the faith-based community. Second, conduct a security risk assessment. We have 2 very great assessments for the faith-based community. We have a self-assessment guide as well as what we call a safe assessment, where I come in and I with my expertise, I come in and I help you through walking through that assessment. Next, we review the security assessment, and then we start ways in your planning on how to develop or implement some of these strategies, some of these concerns that you have with your facility. Just to mention one of these things, the Power of Hello is a fantastic tool. It enhances employee vigilance at your facility. I can easily email that information out, but it's a very low budget way to implement vigilance at the employee level. And then finally, we have different ways that we can test everything that we just changed or implemented, right? There are exercises. We can walk through an exercise. We have various packages of exercises that I can email to you, and it's really plug and play. You put in your information and you have everything from the initial AAR to the final, the initial registration to the final AAR. But with that, this is the website again. Just to highlight again, these are different examples, products and services that we have. A lot of it's an acronym. The SAFE assessment, MASA, the IVP. Those are different assessment products that we have. In-person assessment. All this is free of charge. It is at no cost. It is non-regulatory, so it's not an I got you moment in any way. This is us coming in with our expertise, just providing that feedback so that you guys can mature yourself. So with that, I will turn it over to Lisa. They have a great way that they're using these assessments, and I think she'd like to share kind of their experience and stuff. So.
Yeah, thanks, Lou. So I am the liaison to a security committee that I've formed in the Jewish community. And what we're trying to do is really create an open line of communication amongst all of our congregations and agencies so that we can level set security information and knowledge. And we share information like that Lou just mentioned through CISA, all of these products, there's webinars, there's trainings, there's other agencies as well that offer this type of information that can be really helpful. And we try to kind of sift through it and provide group training, group gatherings where we can talk to law enforcement and, just get everybody as well informed as possible. And then, each congregation has to make their own decision about how they want to interpret that and what security means for them. But there are things as simple as, walking around your building and making sure all your doors are locked and all your windows have locks, and, that you wouldn't even realize if you hadn't, taken the time to really think through security measures. Cameras, all the way to, gates around your property to, really expensive things, security guards. So there are a lot of different ways you can make your place of worship more secure. And even just see something, say something unusual, knowing who to report it to and reporting it is really important. And if it's nothing, it's nothing. But if it's something, you're going to be glad that you reported it. And we've done that a couple of times with, unusual people that act strangely, and, just reporting it and making sure that this isn't someone who is a threat or is a known threat. And if it's not, and that's all, and it was nothing, great. But if it turns out that this is a person that is a known threat and they're showing up and they're acting erratically at one of our congregations, well, then we have a concern. So, it's just keeping up to date, constantly training and retraining, and, even just your ushers and your greeters, being aware. You want to be a welcoming community, but you also want to be aware of strange behavior. And that's not necessarily a stranger. That can be a congregant who's having some kind of crisis and, who unfortunately has a gun. And that, we know cases where that's happened, unfortunately. So, we always want to be aware and be trained, know the exits, know what to do. So if you all have any questions, we're happy to answer more.
Which is a great segue into the next briefing. Did you want to say something else, Lou?
I just want to highlight some of the challenges. Again, because of the district size, there are multiple agencies that do provide different resources and tools. From CISA, I am a bandwidth of one, so I have a call to action here for y'all. Having the faith-based leaders here, having single points where touch one, touch many, and everybody's aware of the different resources that are available to them. It's at low cost, it's at no cost, right? These different assessments, but like San Antonio, I work with Midland, Odessa, I work with Corpus Christi, I work with Brownsville. So I lean on you leaders to share this with your organizations and sub-organizations, and really spread the word that this is resources and tools that they're available on. Oh, and by the way, you can also use these third-party assessments for the nonprofit grants that are out there, the Homeland Security nonprofit grants. So we could talk about that more intimately. If you reach out to me, I can put you in contact or provide information that helps you with all that. So.